As a dream life coach, I work with clients to help them find their purposes and passions, especially when they're feeling stuck where they are. I find that dreams are a useful tool in helping them uncover things about themselves they never realized or were afraid to admit to themselves. Often, by working with the insights revealed through their dreams, they're able to chart a path towards self actualization. But sometimes their dreams, while useful in diagnosing the problem, aren't enough to provide the cure. When that happens, I reach for other modalities in my toolbox to help them reach their desired goals. Recently, I came across a technique that can also help reveal hidden reasons why we're not living the lives we want. It's called timeline therapy. And here to explain what it is and its benefits is neuroproductivity expert Susanna Goulder. Susanna is the founder and CEO of Get Brainiac Smart Speaking and Coaching, a certified coach, growth IQ advisor, and personality assessment evaluator. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Susanna.
It's wonderful to be with you today.
Oh, it's my pleasure as well. Susanna, I always like to start off with the basics. So tell me, what is the definition of timeline therapy?
Well, you like to start off with the basics, and I like to start off with a quote. So, a mystic once said that the release of negative emotions, so release like a balloon that's being let go of and floats up and disappears in the air, the release of a negative emotion leads to love. And timeline therapy is basically allowing yourself to let go of negative emotions, using the unconscious mind to assist you to release negative emotions. And with that release, you're letting go of limiting beliefs and limiting decisions that have stacked up and been carried by you like baggage for years and years and years. And in the release of the negative emotions, you're freed. You're freed to live that dream life because you're not weighed down by the emotions of anger, sadness, fear, guilt, and hurt.
Okay, well, that sounds wonderful. Now tell me, how does that work?
How does it work? Well, it's actually very simple. It's different than talk therapy. So, talk therapy, Debbie, if you've ever been in a therapist office, and for those of us who are listening, if you've ever been in a therapist office, you look at the content of an event or a situation and you analyze it and you look at it from different perspectives and you look at it from another viewpoint until at some point in time you come to an understanding about it where you can live with it in a new way.
Hmm.
With timeline therapy, you don't look at the content, you look at the emotion that's connected to the content because our emotions are neurologically connected to us. So no matter what the content is, you'll still feel the same experience of anger. No matter what the content is, you'll still feel that same experience of fear. So if you release the fear, so for all those that are listening, and Debbie, imagine something, if there's something that right now is troubling you, any situation or event, big or small, imagine what it would be like if suddenly there was a release of the emotion and you were no longer feeling and experiencing that situation or event through that emotion. Who would you be?
It does sound pretty amazing. And it's very interesting that you touch on emotion being the central point there, because when we work with dreams, one of the first things we look at is, what is the emotional effect of this dream, both in the dream and when you awake and talk about it, because the emotion is such a strong indicator of where we need to go. But tell me, how does timeline therapy? You talk about how it's different from talk therapy, but how is it different from other techniques that also deal with emotional aspects like hypnosis or guided meditation, for example?
Oh, that's a really good question. I am a neuroproductivity expert, which means that for years I've studied the brain. And I've studied the brain because of life challenges that have gotten in my way and interfered with my productivity. So I had health problems. I had a brain tumor, I had brain surgery, I had migraines, and I had to figure out a way to stay productive or let go of the life that I loved. And so I dove into neuroscience, and that led one to the next to the next. So in neuroscience, we know about neuroplasticity, and we know that we can rewire our brain. You know that, right? Audience members, you know that, right? You've heard of neuroplasticity. We could rewire our brain. And through neuroscience, there's lots of tools to do it, but it takes a really, really, really long time. Meditation, I am heavily meditated. I meditate every day because it helps the mind, the wiring of the mind be calm and come from a place that empowers you to think better, to boost your brain power. Hypnosis and timeline therapy reprogram the brain in the most efficient technology that I've come across through neuroscience, through metaphysical practices, through everything I could possibly find to, help myself be the person I dream of being and help my clients be the person they long to be and have longed to be all their lives and need some efficient processes. What's great and what I hope everyone listening will take away is just like technology is getting faster these days, and boy, is it, the technology of personal growth and development is getting faster. It only needs to take about 20 minutes to release a lifelong limiting belief. And you might not believe that. So let's use timeline therapy to help you believe it because it's amazing. Why wait?
That does sound amazing. How could it only take 20 minutes?
Would you like an example?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So here's what convinced me. When I was being trained, my trainer said, "This is going to be a life-changing experience for you." And I'm like, yeah, right. And it was in numerous ways. This is just one of stories for me, people that I worked with and my clients. So when I was about 5 years old, um, I was with my brother and my two sisters. And we played this game that my brother would have a cup of water. And he was older than all of us. And he would chase us down the hallway, around through the next hallway to my sister's rooms. And I was only 5. I was the littlest one. I may have been 4. And so all of a sudden we're in his room and I don't know what made us go, but it was like, go, run. It was like, run for your lives. And the oldest one, Lisa, was first down the hallway around the corner and into the room. And right behind her was my older sister, Diane, down the hallway around the corner and into the room. And then it was little me, and I was ahead of Larry, and he was big. He's like 9 years older than me. I go down the hallway around the corner, and just as I get to the room, they shut the door. And then I turn around and I hear Larry coming through the doorway into the hallway I was in, and he throws the water on me, the 5-year-old girl. I tumble into tears. And that simple little experience that really could have been forgotten became a staple perception of my life. I always had a perception that when in a group, I would be shut out. And so I had a helpless feeling from the age of 5 on, whether it was with family, business, social engagements, I felt abandoned, and left out consistently. I took it to many, many therapists, told this story. We just kind of hung there. And the story was like baggage. It stayed with me in all my life. And then I did timeline therapy. So what happened in the timeline was I went back to that event and then to the before the event happened, like as if I was that little girl before that happened. And in that moment, like the phone is ringing, an epiphany came. Because as I'm looking at her crying at that closed door, I was able to see that to the right of me was another door to another room. And to the left of me was another door to another room. And I could have just run into those doors and closed the door. All these years, I never thought of that. And so suddenly I had an aha, Debbie, from now on, when I feel shut out, instead of like, oh, I'm not part of that, I see there are other options. And that original limiting belief about my whole life, my whole experience with people has changed from abandonment to I got options and I'm empowered and I'm okay. He can't get me or whatever it is chasing after me. I can have a choice. I could be empowered. That happened in 20 minutes.
That is amazing. And you just touched upon something I think is so important is the idea of choice because we don't believe we have choice when it's out in front of us. We don't see it, and a therapy like this can help you see. Yes, you do have a choice, and you can do it. My question for you though is, what made it stick? I mean, I could see how it gave you that epiphany, but how did you keep it and not let other life experiences that are going on just sort of make that sort of fade away over time?
That's a really good question. And as far as choices go, for any listeners, you might hear my story, but the same thing applies whether it's trauma, whether it's experiences with money, whether it's experiences with success, whether it's experiences of just finding your purpose. No matter what your story is, the same kind of experience can happen. And for what happened to me, I wish I had, if I had, so my background is also I used to work in the film business long ago. And so if I had two pairs of glasses, Debbie, I would put on one and say, these are the glasses I wore all my life. And it was like the timeline therapy had me take them off, you know, maybe put on another pair of glasses, but even more, it was like those glasses I took off. I no longer looked through that. It was like that same thing of the balloon being lifted and going away. It was the new understanding, the new insight. Oh, I never realized I had choices. Cleared the rest of the limiting belief.
How can people find out more about you and timeline therapy?
For anyone who is feeling called, wants to release those limiting beliefs, uh, the limiting decisions about money, about success, about comparing yourself to others, so that you're free to really find that purpose. Uh, I have a couple of offers. One is if you'd like to experience the personality assessment, I'll do it for you for free. You take the assessment and I'll give you a 1 hour long evaluation that's going to help you see what your unconscious knows and can reveal to you in your conscious mind, so that some of the unconscious limiting decisions and behaviors can be brought into awareness. That's free. If you would like to have a timeline therapy session, you could also contact me. Or if you'd like to have a full package of NLP timeline therapy, starting with the personality assessment, that's also an option for you. You could reach me by calling or texting 914 564-9090 to book a session. Or you could go to my website, Susanna at SusannaGoulderSpeaker.com. That is Susanna, Susanna, at Susanna, Susanna, Goulder, G as in George, OULD as in David, ER, speaker, SPEAKER.com. And if you do that / coaching, it'll take you right to the coaching page.